Welcome to iLecture Online. Here we're going to do an example of how to calculate the standard deviation of a small data set. And notice we use some small numbers this time so it's easier to work with, although there are 20 of them, which makes it a little bit more work intensive. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use the method of tallies to enable us to draw a frequency diagram, a bar graph so to speak, of the data set so we can see what it looks like, and then we're going to calculate the standard deviation, and then we're going to see how the standard deviation is used to identify how the data is distributed. Here are a couple of definitions for the standard deviation. The first one we saw before, it is the positive square root of the variance, but that doesn't really tell you a lot. It also can be defined as a measure of fluctuation or deviation of a data set. See how the data is distributed, and that's what the standard deviation is very good for. So let's use some tallies to figure out how much of each of the numbers we have, or how many. So we have a 2, we have an 8, we have a 5, a 3 and a 6, we have an 8, a 6, a 4 and a 4, a 3, a 5 and a 3, a 4, a 7, a 4, we have a 5 and a 4, we have a 6, a 9, and a 4. So here using tallies, we can see what the distribution is like that, or we can put it on a bar graph. We have a single 2, so let's do it right there. We have 3 3s, we have 6 4s, we have 3 5s, we have 3 6s, we have 1 7, we have 2 8s, and a single 9. All right, so there is a bar graph that gives us a frequency distribution of the data, and normally what we'd expect over a large sample, if it's a random distribution, that we have kind of a bell curve shape. So we'd expect to see something that looks like this, and of course it's not exactly like that. It seems to be skewed a little bit to the right. It seems like we definitely have way more of the 4 than other numbers of the data set, but by and large it gives us kind of a normal distribution. Now we're going to calculate the standard deviation. To do that, we need to be able to calculate the mean and the variance, and then the standard deviation is going to be the square root of the variance. Notice that we have the entire data set, so we used the n in the denominator for the variance, not the n minus 1 if it's simply a sample of a larger data set. So first we calculate the mean of the data, so we add up all the data points and we divide by the total number that we have, which is 20. So it's 100 divided by 20, or 5. So 5 is the average value of all the numbers in the data set. Now we need to calculate the variance. S squared is considered the variance. So we sum up the difference between each of the numbers and the average. We take that difference, we square it, and we sum them all up. Then we divide by n. So the difference between 2 and 5, 8 and 5, 5 and 5, 3 and 5, and so forth. So we take each of these numbers, we take the difference between that number and the average, we take that difference, we square it, and we sum them all up. There'll be 20 sums like that, and we divide by the total number of sums, which is 20. So we end up with 68 divided by 20, which is 3.4. You may want to try this at home using your calculator and to go through the entire procedure. Then to find the standard deviation, we simply take the square root of the variance. We use both the symbol sigma or s to indicate the standard deviation, and the square root of 3.4 is 1.84. So what does that mean? Well, it means the following. We know that the average value is 5. If we now add 1 sigma and subtract 1 sigma from 5, what do we get? Well, 1 sigma, or 1s, 1 standard deviation, is 1.84. So if we add 1.84 to 5, we get 6.84. And if we subtract 1.84 from 5, we get 3.16. So what does that mean? Well, later on we'll get into a little bit more detail, but essentially if we have what we call a normal distribution of a random distribution of variables, where we have a perfect bell-shaped curve like this, that's what's called a normal distribution, we would expect 68% of all our values to fall within this range right here of plus and minus 1 sigma from the average or from the mean. If we then add 2 sigma, so now we're going to add another 1.84, so it's going to be plus 2 sigma and minus 2 sigma. So 2 sigma, that would be 3.68 added to 5, that would be 8.68. And on the other side, we subtract 3.68 from that. So that gives me 1.32. Yes, 1.32. There we go. So now we can see, well, let me drop that down just a little bit, 8.68, 8.68. So now what that means is if we take the average, the mean, and we add 2 sigma to that, we'll get 8.68. In other words, we add twice 1.84. And then we take the mean and we subtract 2 sigma from that. In other words, we subtract 3.68 from that. We get 1.32. And we can then be assured, again, if it's a normal distribution of data, of course, which we don't quite have, but if we had normal distribution, we can be assured that about 95% of all the data points will fall within that range. And then finally, if we add plus 3 sigma and minus 3 sigma, now of course, we can't subtract another 1.84, so basically we'll get 0, assuming there's no negative numbers. And now we add plus 3 sigma, 3 times that number. That would give us, let's see here, 3, that's 5.4, 5.54. Well, let me quickly grab my calculator so I don't have a brain freeze here. So 5.52, added to 5, that would give me a 10.52. And what that means is that you're virtually assured, if you have a normal distribution, that virtually 100% of your values fall within that. It's not quite 100%, it's 99.7%, so close enough to 100. You would need 1,000 data points, and then 3 of them would probably not fit within the plus or minus 3 sigma, as we call it. So this is called plus or minus 1 sigma, this is called plus or minus 2 sigma, and this is called plus or minus 3 sigma. And so what we're saying is that of all our data points up there, we'd say that 68% should fall within plus or minus 1 sigma, 95% will fall plus or minus 2 sigma, and almost 100% will fall plus or minus 3 sigma. Now let's check that with our data set right here to see if that is indeed true. So how many fall between 3.16 and 6.84? So 3.86, so the 4, the 5, and the 6, 3 and 2 fall outside that range. 7, 8, and 9 fall outside that range. So how many do I have within this range? Notice I have 6, 9, 12 of them. So 12 divided by 20 is 60%. So it is not a bad distribution. Since I'm reasonably close to 68%, you can see that this is more or less a Gaussian or a normal distribution. The fact that it's 60 instead of 68 means that's not quite there, which is what our data set indicates. If we now go plus or minus 2 sigma, so I need to add a few more to that. So anything that's below 9, so I include the 7 and the 8. And on the low side, I also include the 3 and the 2. So now all but 1 fit inside plus or minus 2 sigma, and so that would be 19 out of 20, which is 95%. And notice it's exactly the predicted value. So it means that it is fairly close to a normal distribution. And then finally, if I then go all the way to plus or minus 3 sigma, notice the final value also fits in there. And that means that yes, we have 20 out of 20, which is 100% of all values are within plus or minus 3 sigma. And so that is an indicator of how to look at your data. So next time, if you have a data set, you can go ahead and find your average or your mean, then you find your standard deviation, and then you find what the range is for plus or minus 1 sigma, which is from 3.16 to 6.84, plus or minus 2 sigma, which is from 1.32 to 8.68, and plus or minus 3 sigma, which is from 0 to 10.52. And then you can be sure that if you have a reasonably distributed data set, that 68% will fall within that range, 95% within that range, and near 100% within that range. Of course, this is specific to this data set. Every data set will have a different standard deviation, a different mean, and then of course a different range for the plus or minus 1 sigma, plus or minus 2 sigma, or plus or minus 3 sigma. And this is what it means by working out the standard deviation and utilize it to give you that information about the fluctuation or dispersion of your data set. That's how it's done.